What's new in Disneyland Construction? New steel at Tiana's Bayou Adventure. That's really interesting. We may be losing more than just Splash and Haunted Mansion this winter, and we've got some possible rumors from Tomorrowland. But first, let's get the latest from the Astro Orbiter in Tomorrowland. And what we found on Friday is that they have basically stripped. Now, while this looks drastic, don't be alarmed. Not a big deal. We went through almost the same exact thing a couple years ago, where they took the whole thing apart, and it looked really invasive. But nothing is happening with the Astro Orbiter. This is just standard operating procedure. Especially when you consider that, from my understanding, what they're doing to the Astro Orbiter is just a paint job. It's getting a new paint job. The paint that they used in the last update, the one I just mentioned from a couple years ago, apparently was not handling weather conditions very well. It wasn't reacting very well to the weather, which is common. We see this a lot in construction where they aren't prepared for what's going to happen in real life. So they're putting on a new paint job, and you can't do that on site. You have to take the thing apart and repaint it. So today we get this strip-looking thing. They're not going to move it. It's not going anywhere. It's going to stay right here at the entrance to Tomorrowland, and it's going to be just like it always has been. Which, by the way, is pretty great, in my opinion. I kind of like it here. I kind of like being able to look down on the hub and everything while I'm flying on the Astro Orbiter, so it's not so bad. And as a reminder, closed, or it will reopen in the winter of 2024. Right now, we're thinking that's going to be February. Let's head over to New Orleans Square, to the train station, because I want to check in on the train station to see that nothing new is happening there. It still looks just like it does every time we come over here. You can see the burnt marks from the fire. You can see that the roof line still has not been repaired. It's been this way for a few months. And when I say few, we're talking 3 at least, right? It's been, even in the scrim being down, it's not, for some reason, they have just decided to heck with it. We're leaving the scrim down. The scrim has been down for about that long as well. Oh, look, there's a train. How delightful. The train still is magical when it pulls into station. The sound of the train, everything about that is still wonderful. That makes me happy. Glad we caught that. And there goes the EP Ripley heading towards Galaxy's Edge, Critter Country, and Toontown. Now, the reason why I've stopped here, though, as I back up and give you a wider look at the train station, the depot that's behind the train station over there, it made me wonder, it made me sort of reconsider what the effect is of the Haunted Mansion queue refurb, what effect that's going to have to the train station. It's not going to have any effect on that building, but it could be that they're waiting for the Haunted Mansion refurb to start working on that building. That's why I'm not alarmed about them not doing anything here. Probably just waiting for this. That's the old Fast Pass queue. That's going to be completely gutted. Well, I don't know how gutted. The new queue, the extended queue, is going to consume that queue. And look how its relationship is right next to the train station, or to the tunnel that goes through Splash Mountain and all that. The ground floor is about where the ground floor of the train is right about where the ground floor is for the Fast Pass queue. So if we extend that image, that line, into the Haunted Mansion exterior queue, where they will be doing the refurb, and they're going to be going into that building right there and installing the new elevator, I don't think it's possible for them to build that elevator without closing the Disneyland Railroad for however long it takes them, the actual building of the elevator. I think where it's going to exist has to get in the way, at least to some extent. At minimum, I think we should expect that they close the train because they need to cut off power. Although the train is steam, it's a steam engine. It's not an electric engine, but there are, parts of the Disneyland Railroad that obviously that require electricity. That's the little path that we're looking at there that takes you into the tomb, where the elevator will be. And you can kind of see. What I'm trying to do here is get a sense of where ground level is, where the horizon is for that train relative to where guests enter. I mean, it is lower, and they're going to go under it because you have to go under the berm in order to get into the Haunted Mansion. I don't know. I feel like that could be an opportunity as well. Liz and I discussed this when we were at our last trip report, our last visit to Disneyland on Saturday, that I feel like this could be an opportunity, a chance. We could see a change to the tombstones, the graveyard up there. I feel like all of this is subject to change. It could be for the better, could be for the worse, I'm not sure, but they may take this as an opportunity to do something different up there, and I'm curious how that's going to work out. But I do think there's a very real chance that the Haunted Mansion and Splash Mountain or Tiana's Bayou Adventure are not going to be the only two attractions that we lose during the winter. Like I said, it may not be the entire 7 months. I feel like Disney would have said something if it was going to be closed that long. We're going to pay attention to the calendar. Right now, the refurb calendar does not include a closure for Disneyland Railroad. Right now. So if you look into, I think it goes as far as maybe February 4th or February 5th as I record this. And the train is not on that calendar. So it could be that they don't have to close it right away because they're going to be doing other things, demo, etc. But when it comes time to actually physically build that elevator, well, we'll keep an eye on it. I just feel like it's inevitable. I climbed the Adventureland treehouse to see how Tiana's Bayou Adventure looks. I keep wanting to call it Splash Mountain, to see how it looks from this level, just to kind of get a new perspective on it. And it looks like they have covered the top of the mountain, the areas that they are refurbishing right now, where they just put on that new layer, and we're doing facade work. Probably for the rain. We just had a rainstorm on what was it, Wednesday, I think. So that's covered up right now. But what we can see here is that there's quite a lot of other areas, other spots that are being worked on. Look at all that mesh down there. There's two sections of mesh where they're redoing it. These are areas that we can't really see that well from the ground when we're filming this from the Critter Country walkway. And if I look at that, you can even see, if we keep panning to the left, there's another one. Look at that, all the way back there. What are they doing? Why do they have to tear out those sections, I wonder? There's a lot of it. And I wonder how much of this, you know what it could be, you guys? They didn't tear it out, they're adding. That's what this is, I think. They're closing the mountain. Where there used to be a lot of gaps, I feel like they're closing the mountain. They're turning it into a hill. I really think they are. I think they're closing those gaps. Took a walk on the secret path and to get a look at Splash Mountain Tiana's from here. But first thing I noticed is I feel like they may have trimmed this vegetation here. I feel like that's less than there used to be. That used to be fuller, wasn't it? I don't know. Here's Tiana's Bayou Adventure looking straight on. The debris chute is still gone, probably will remain gone, at least for the short term. And there's the plastic tarp covered top of that mountain. So we're not going to be able to see any progress there this week anyway. There also were not any construction crews. I came on a Saturday on this day because we're blocked out, so I had to combine some of my efforts. We visited the park and I did construction recon on this day, trying to see if I can't find Mama Odie in there. She's still not there. No Mama Odie yet. I'm going to keep looking. One day I'm going to see a firefly. One day I'm going to see one of those fireflies making some kind of effect in there, and that's going to be a big day. Got to come back at night, though. So this is the section that I was looking at where we saw them from above, from the treehouse, where it looked like they were closing in. You can't see it from down here. But that's why all that scaffolding is there. They're going to close up that mountain. By the way, stay tuned. At the end of this episode, we're going to take another look at what's new at the Magic Kingdom Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Spoiler alert. Be prepared for that. I'm going to show you how that mountain looks today. There's been some really visible progress happening on that mountain, so stay tuned. That's our mountain today. I found some symmetrical rock stacking Just wanted to note that, and a squirrel. We have a squirrel and symmetrical rock stacking. There's a word for that, but I like to call it that because I'm a Ghostbusters nerd. Let's check out the front of the attraction, where last week we saw that they had put, scrim and scaffold up. I keep waiting for something to happen here. Some kind of, just even refurb like what we saw before, with that scrim and scaffold that we were seeing at the main entrance. I think that somebody's added some, materials there or something. There's the scrim and scaffold. Again, we didn't see anybody on site working on this, but I'm hoping that that's what I expect here is that they're getting ready to paint. They're going to strip it and buff it and make it, clean and give a nice surface so that you can add the new layer of paint, whatever it is it's going to be. Spoiler alert, you might find out what that's going to look like if you watch the end of the episode. And then this is the effects. Last week we saw them ripping out all those nails and pieces of wood on that. So now you have this smooth surface to work on. There's a blue X for something. Wonder what that's for. Found another plastic tarp on the backside of the mountain, the hill. I'm not sure if that's for rain or not, but for some reason they decided to cover that area up. But look at this. Okay, so this is the section we've been watching. There's that big gap that they covered. They put a hole in, 2 holes actually, and there was a gap in the log that runs along the perimeter there. And we were wondering why they cut that log. Why did they cut that hole in that log? And now we know. I didn't notice this last week, but there's new steel up there. You guys, look at all that steel. That steel is new. That was not there before, and it's got some function. There you see, where that steel is being placed right in between that log right there. That's creating the definition, the perimeter of that track. What are they doing? Are they going to close that up? Why is there steel here? I know it's super, super fascinating. I have to say, this is super fascinating because what could they be doing here? I cannot wait to see how this develops. But what this is, by the way, is we've left the demo phase. We are now in the building phase. We talked about this a few weeks ago. But this is what we're seeing now. We're starting to see the mountain evolving into something as opposed to not becoming something and turning into something less than what it was. It is now becoming something. Now, forgive me, but I'd like to take a quick break from this construction update to let you guys know about GetAwayToday. You may already know that they are our preferred vacation planner, travel agent for our fans who are looking to book a trip to Disneyland or Walt Disney World or more. Universal Studios Hollywood, Universal Orlando, SeaWorld, Legoland, you name it. And I'd like to think that we know them very well. We've met many of them personally, and we know how kind they are and how really tremendously good they are at their jobs. And that's why I'm confident in referring our fans to Getaway, because I am confident that you will be treated just as well as we have. If you're planning a trip to a Disney park or Universal or anything else of that nature, if you're planning a trip soon, use the link in our description so that they know that we sent you and so that we know that you were sent to them through one of our YouTube videos. And in so doing, you can be confident that you're going to be getting some of the best possible service from people who know everything there is to know about planning a trip to the Disney parks. Thank you for that. Let's get back to the show. Also, when I was atop the Adventureland Treehouse, I took a peek at the Mark Twain to see if I could see anything going on there. No crew on this afternoon when I was here. It was a Saturday. I think there was just one guy running around the Twain. So we didn't get to see anything, being done. But I think there's probably not much left to do, as far as I can tell. Most of the plastic wrap and the scrim has been taken down. There is still scaffolding up, but I get the feeling that they have done a majority of the work that is to be done, which was essentially, updating the decking and a lot of repainting. As a matter of fact, if we look at the refurb calendar, we may have a possible reopening date. It is not on the calendar. Mark Twain is not on the refurb calendar as of February 3rd, which is great. Now, that still puts us about, almost 6 weeks away. But assuming that the refurb calendar is correct and accurate, we should see the Mark Twain reopen on February 3rd, and not a moment too soon, if you don't mind my saying, because I miss the Mark Twain as an attraction, but I also miss the Mark Twain as a vessel for reconnaissance, because in January, we're going to be beginning our tour of the Haunted Mansion refurb, and the Mark Twain is one of my key locations, key spots to film from. So I'm looking forward to that getting back online as soon as possible. I mentioned in the intro that we might have a rumor. This is the DVC Welcome Center, as it were, in Tomorrowland. This was recently refurbished, if you recall. It took a while, too. They did a lot of work here. It was probably a couple months' worth. And it looks about the same, but you got a few things that they've added here, like a reference to Starview Station, which is the DVC lounge that they built in the Innoventions building. That's referenced here. And so it's just a little bit of an update for those they're trying to sell DVC memberships, DVC points, as it were. A rumor that I've heard, just a rumor at this point, is that they may be looking to extend the DVC rings in Tomorrowland to that upper level, the People Mover, where the guests used to load on the People Mover. They may be looking to make this some sort of extra space for DVC members. Now, from what I understand, that's going to require some effort, because that is not suitable for guests in any way. That area up there will need a lot of TLC just to make it safe for guests. But that's the rumor that I've heard, that they could be looking to do something. I don't expect anything for you and I. And even if it's just something lame, like a place for the people to sit, you know what? That's not lame. That's actually really, really cool. Even if it's just a place for guests to get up there, DVC members to get up there and just sit and look at, another opportunity to look at Tomorrowland from up there in a place that nobody else can get to, that would be really, really cool. And good for DVC members, by the way. Disney, I feel like Disney is trying to lean into this right now. They're trying to lean into DVC. I don't know if it's because it's not performing, or if that's just a market that they're trying to, get a little more traction in. But good for them if they can get this, because they, that's a commitment. That's an investment. DVC points are an investment. And I would like to see them get more perks. So remember this, you guys. Remember this little rumor suggestion about the People Mover loading area and DVC, because if we see construction walls go up around this building, people are going to lose their minds. Can you imagine the pandemonium that will ensue if they put construction walls up around here and nobody knows why? So I feel like this is a public service announcement. Much the same way as I was like, if we didn't know why they put those construction walls up around the Blue Sky Cellar, which is by no means anywhere near equal to the hype around the People Mover. But if I didn't know what those walls up at Blue Sky were, I would have been really excited. Same here. So while it's just a rumor, just keep that in mind. I don't know how long down the line that's going to be, but keep that in mind. Probably just going to be DVC. Certainly not going to be anything related to the People Mover returning. Speaking of the DVC Welcome Center that they're doing, the walls that are up at the Blue Sky Cellar, this is the latest on that. I mean, it's the same walls. We're not going to be able to see anything. Everything is happening inside the building. Nothing is happening on the exterior. I think they're doing that just to sort of close it off a little bit. And they might be doing some touch-ups to the entryway, but nothing major. We'll stay in DCA and head down to Hollywood Boulevard to check in on the Sorcerer's Workshop inside the animation building. Last time we were here, we couldn't even go down to the workshop because, as we found out, they were closing that as well for the Imagination Campus. But on this day, it was open, so I thought, well, heck yeah. I'm going to go see what's going on, see if I can see anything at all inside the Sorcerer's Workshop or Beast Library. Last time we were here, it was super busy, super packed at Beast Library and Sorcerer's Workshop. Not how we found it today. I feel like this is going to end this whole section. I don't even know why it looks wonderful. It's pretty to look at. It's well designed, well themed and all that. But it's just, guests aren't going in here. They've killed this attraction. Literally the Beast Library section. But they've already closed, or I should say, Ursula's Grotto. They turned that into the meet and greet for Anna and Elsa, and now that's all that's left. So why even bother keeping this? I have to wonder. I don't know what else you do with the space, but there you go. Nothing happening at Sorcerer's Workshop. On our way from Carsland to San Francisco, is that a new sign? It just caught my eye this week, but it looks like a new traffic sign for San Francisco telling you where all the restaurants are. Cool. Winter is the refurb season, so it is tradition that we find attractions that pop up on the refurb calendar. In February, that will include Emotional Whirlwind, the Inside Out attraction, most likely just routine maintenance, paint, and polish. And Grizzly River Run is also going to be closing in February. Neither attraction do we know for how long. Grizzly River Run, I expect, this is routine. They do this almost every year during the winter season because, nobody's riding it anyway, much like it was the case for Splash Mountain back in the day. But I'm expecting routine maintenance. I'm hoping that maybe, from this shot here, that we get the geyser back, the guest targeting geyser in the middle of the river there. I would love to see that return. But I'm not expecting this to be anything drastic, just standard routine closure for this attraction that they do pretty much every year. Quick stop in downtown Disney to check in on what's happening in the the retail and dining sections back here. There's Centrico, about as we left it as well. We'll go around the corner to check in on Paseo. And if I'm not mistaken, that's new steel in front of that far left section. And it looks like they're getting ready to, I'm betting that space that we're looking at there is going to be a large picture window as guests, reach the top of the stairs and look out below. Oh, yeah, Toontown, Donald Duck's boat, pond still closed. And with that, we end our typical construction report. Heading into looking at the Magic Kingdom, we're going to talk now about the Magic Kingdom, Tiana's Bayou Adventure there. So spoiler alert, if you don't want to know what's happening at the Magic Kingdom, if you don't want to have the possible future of our Tiana's Bayou Adventure spoiled, then thanks for watching. We love you guys. Be safe out there, be kind to one another, and all that. But for those of you sticking around, let's get the latest from the Magic Kingdom. These images brought to you by WDW Magic. And last week, the real star of that show was the fact that they had added a lot of foliage to that mountain, to the point where it was just a big green mossy mess on top of that mountain. It looked like ivy to me. This week, or I should say this update, because that was a couple weeks ago, I think, they've added a little bit more color, a little bit more personality to the foliage that's on top of that mountain. Different shades of green there, but it is still, kind of ivy looking. I've seen a lot of chatter about the mountain recently on social media, and I'm not sure if we had anything to do with that because construction doesn't get as much coverage at Walt Disney World as it does here. So I'm not sure. Well, I should just say, does not appear to be a very popular thematic choice by Magic Kingdom guests. And I mean, I get it. It's not exactly the most colorful, or it lacks a certain personality. But I don't hate it. I really don't hate it, in so much as I mean, I know we loved the way Old Splash Mountain looked. It had a very definite look, but it was a different environment. So any change from something that we loved is gonna come with some with a careful eye, with a watchful eye. But I don't think I want it to look like Splash Mountain anymore. I don't think it's good for the attraction to look how it used to. I think that would create more opportunity for comparison rather than judging the attraction on its own merit. So I think that it is necessary, as painful as it is necessary for them to try to move as much as possible away from how that attraction looked. Splash Mountain in Magic Kingdom as part of Frontierland. And the same will be true here as well at Disneyland and as part of Critter Country, though I think it's easier to land Tiana's Bayou Adventure in Critter Country than it is to land Tiana's Bayou Adventure in Frontierland. On that topic, Braden over at Mickey Views had an interesting segment on his latest update from the parks where he was suggesting that it's possible that Disney might just go ahead and retcon that whole land. I don't know if that's the right word. Update Frontierland. Frontierland would be no more, and they would instead re-theme that whole land to New Orleans or New Orleans Square, I guess they could call it that. Turn Frontierland into New Orleans, which isn't a terrible idea because their Frontierland, if I recall, wasn't that great. Splash Mountain didn't really fit in there anyway. The Pecos Bill restaurant, oh my God, that was horrendous. Whatever it is that they're building, this Tiana's Bayou Adventure, whatever it is that they're building is not a Frontier land attraction. But I digress. Check out that video from Braden at Mickey Views. It's interesting. But that does, bring me back to the idea that I feel like they have to do this. They have to make this mountain look different than it used to. They just do. Closer look. Look, this is delightful. I love this tree. This tree is great. I love the idea. We mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Every one of those leaves was hand-created and installed individually onto that tree. I think that's terrific. I love this shot. I love the way that the mountain is being framed by the trees in the foreground and Tiana, the water tower for Tiana's Foods. I think that looks great here. I'm a little bit, I'm not crazy about the tiara on top of that, but whatever, it's fine. But I love the way this looks. It looks nice. Now, I understand also, remember, as we get a longer look, what you're seeing at the top of that mountain is the final form. There's no scaffolding at that top. So whatever it is that they're doing there, they're done. On that section right there anyway, where it's scaffold free. There's scaffolding elsewhere. They're not done yet. So that's its final form. Very good indicator on what this thing is going to look like in the end. Notice also, though, that there are other sections of the mountain, principally over there on the left, in the left third of frame, where it is Splash Mountain looking, and there is no scaffolding. So they're going to leave that unchanged. This is the Frontierland train station. Wonderful little site. I really enjoyed this. When I came by here my last visit, this building caught my eye, and I really liked it. But I'm stopping here because look at this. They've got what looks to be new flooring. I don't know if that's finished or not because there's kind of just two sections of it. But they are putting in new flooring. That's great, but this is even better. Look at this. This walkway, by the way, looks like it's open to guests. I think you can go in there and just walk around on that, which is wonderful. You got the finished railing there and everything. And then it's sort of, I don't know what that, is it cobblestone? Is that the right word? This looks terrific, you guys. I really, really like this. Far superior in every way to what was there before and what we have today at our Splash Mountain, our Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Now, I don't know if we're going to get that, though, having said this, because that surface it looks very much like it belongs in Frontierland. Likewise, I think you could say it could belong in New Orleans Square. I'm not sure if you could say it belongs in Critter Country, although personally, I would not be troubled by that one bit. But I'm just wondering because our entrance to our Splash Mountain, to our Tiana's, is a bit different than that which you have at Magic Kingdom. I hope they do find a way to give us this because this is wonderful. Disney has sort of, or had, leaned away from this kind of walking surface in the past, I think, trying to, you were seeing a lot more of just very average, common walkways, just blacktop. Like it's what we have now at Critter Country. It's just blacktop. It has no character at all. I hope they find the budget to give us something like that. And that's our construction update this week. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. Stick around, why don't you guys? After watching this video, watch our State of DCA report. Very delightful, very informative walkthrough we did at the park at DCA. And then we're going to be doing another one next week from Disneyland. Stay tuned for that. And then follow us on Instagram at _FreshBaked, on Twitter at FreshBakedDisney, that's fresh with no E, and on TikTok at FreshBakedDisney. And if you like our show and want to show your support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/freshbaked. We got other content, exclusive content to Patreon being posted there on a regular basis. So I hope you guys can join us. Otherwise, thanks for watching, everybody. We love you. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And fresh baked.